Draymond had a horrible game, right? I mean, he had more fouls and shot attempts. He had 3 assists. He had, 4 rebounds.
And he copped to it.
Yeah, it was horrific, right? And he knows that. He said he played like crap, right? But here's what bothers me about all this. So Kendrick Perkins was tweeting about it last night. KP is family to me. I'm going at him. And even a big brother to me, and Isaiah Thomas, who literally last night on NBA TV after the game, I was watching, said he's not talking about Jaylen Brown. He's not talking about Jason Tatum. He's not talking about Marcus Smart. He's talking about a podcast. He's talking about Cedric Maxwell and fans. So, Key, this is where I lose my mind, right? He's not giving away insight or strategy on how they're going to defend Boston going into game 3 or game 4. He's giving you insight into what he saw in the game. And to a degree, so what if he takes an hour and a half, 2 hours to do a podcast? Say you play basketball for 8 hours.
He should be sitting in his room alone thinking about the game.
Say you sleep, Key, for another 8 hours. Okay, you have another 8. What are you doing with the other 8 hours of your day? You're telling me you can't take 2 hours of that and do a podcast? That's distracting you from getting ready for the NBA Finals? Like, we're still using this outdated kind of archaic thing. Well, all distractions and he's not focused. He had a crappy game. It's not because he does a damn podcast. Let's stop with this, man.
Yeah, when you searching and you looking for answers or you looking to ridicule somebody or whatever the case may be, and you have a hidden agenda to talk about somebody, whatever it is, you will find a way to do that. And as we were talking about this earlier, I was thinking to myself, as a player in the National Football League, it was always, well, he didn't do this. He should have been doing. It's like that has nothing to do with whether I had a good game or I had a bad game. I remember as a kid, or not even as a kid, hell, just recently during the pandemic, doing the whole 30 for 30, the Michael Jordan stuff. He went to New Jersey to Atlantic City to gamble and hang out and then drop whatever it was against the Knicks.
But Key, that's the key, right?
It's like,
if you're going to do it, that's you want to be, I want to choose my words carefully here because of what goes on in the world, but if you want to be well, in the old days we'd have called it bulletproof. From the criticism, right? What you do is you show up and you drop 55 at the Garden. You have a good game, right? Yeah. Otherwise, if you have a bad game, then media people will start thinking, I wonder why this normally great player wasn't great tonight.
Max, he's been doing this podcast since November 15th, 2021, Key.
Yep, like you said, though, Jay, I didn't hear anything after game 2.
Nope.
So, don't get caught up in the whole media circus and narrative. We need to figure out how to get some bulletin board material on this guy so now he can talk about us and we can be relevant. And don't get caught up in that.
I think if a media member thinks, you know what, I wonder if this is a distraction.
Max, stop.
Asking the question, he shouldn't be intimidated out of asking the question because he'll be criticized for asking a question. He's curious.
No, do your job.
Right?
Do your job, but just know that the job that you're trying to do ain't going to come off well.
So Steve Kerr, same reporter, asked Steve Kerr if Draymond's podcast is a distraction. Here's Coach's response.
I don't listen to the podcast. So I don't know what he's said on there. It doesn't bother me. It's 2022. It's a different world. It's players are part of the media now. That's been established. So it is what it is.
I mean, is he wrong?
No.
I get how people are going to say things like bulletin board material, Key. You're giving other teams incentives. Like, I get all that. But, I mean, Cedric Maxwell, we talked about it the other day. Like, this is who he is. Like, this is who Draymond is.
If you're Draymond, you want as many people listening to your podcast as possible, ostensibly, right? Like, that's why you do something in the media. And this is a giant commercial for his podcast now.
So should he have done the podcast before the game? Would everybody be satisfied then? He
no,
does it after
if you do it before the game, yeah.
Should he do it before? Should he do it at halftime? Like, seriously, should he do it during the timeouts? Like,
Key, God forbid you do a podcast in your off day. God forbid you do a podcast in your off day.
God forbid you try to do anything in the off season. God forbid any of that, right?
How much do you think there is insecurity in traditional media about athletes grabbing a big chunk of it because they're in a better position if they're also good communicators to get those jobs, and they kind of shove traditional media off to the side a little bit.
LeBron James does it every day with the shop. He does
Yeah,
the
but
shop
see, I
throughout the
don't
course of
know.
the regular season.
I always tell people this. I get the traditional. I mean, I get the new wave media, and I get all of that sort of stuff. But I don't ever think that traditional media is ever going to have to worry about those sort of things. We've seen this before. This isn't the first time that we've seen individuals try to do spin-off things on their own. It's just, I mean, come on, man. You work for one of the gorillas of the industry. It's just certain things is not going to happen. Yeah, you may only be able to go get Draymond at Draymond, and that's pretty much it. But at the same time, Draymond's still going to TNT. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? So when his career's over, he going to TNT.
Last thing I'll say real quick, Max, before I know we got to go. So they interviewed Adam Silver last night, pregame show before the NBA Finals started, and they talked about LeBron James being a billionaire. And he talked about how he set up his whole media entity and how it provided a platform for a lot of athletes that even now JJ Redick, CJ McCollum, Patrick Beverley, Draymond Green, to start building their brands and talking first about what they see on the court. Like, this is going to be something that we are going to be seeing go next level for the next 10 years, and traditional media has to get used to it.
Technology has democratized media, but still, as Key says, there are some platforms that are bigger and stronger than others.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.